In the past 3 years, I have scaled a sales team to 12 reps who are bringing in millions of dollars a year in profit for my company. I've also overseen and helped scale hundreds of other sales teams for our clients, so I know one or two things about the most effective way to scale sales reps inside of your company, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video here. The way that we're going to structure this video is I'm going to walk you through from hiring your first rep all the way to the point that I'm at right now, where I have a sales team leader managing 11 different reps. And so I only have the sales team leader report to me once on a weekly basis. That way, as the entrepreneur, I'm totally removed from the sales calls and sales process, but I can still get the feedback required in order to scale. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Ravi Abuvala, founder of Scaling with Systems, where we build client acquisition machines for our clients. So I help my clients get more clients. And one of the ways that I do that is by ramping up a sales team. And so specifically in this video, we're going to be talking about inbound sales teams. I've built and scaled a 35-person outbound sales team before, but this one's going to be more specific to you already have some kind of lead acquisition channel, whether it's outbound, whether it's cold calling, whether it's paid ads, or whether it's organic content that are bringing in appointments on your calendar. So how do you free up your time and then scale the sales team in the most effective way possible? So the first sales rep that you have for your company is obvious going to be you, right? So I wrote me right here. That is going to be the most effective sales rep you will ever see inside your company. And you may be looking at this and maybe you're a technical founder, maybe you're a shy founder, and you're thinking, I'm really not a great sales rep. I should outsource it as soon as possible. I would tend to disagree with you, because although you may not be good at sales right now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be the best sales rep for your company, because the only thing that really matters, especially in the very beginning, is sales. So if you're not good at sales, you need to get good at sales. And the only way you can get a good sales is, you guessed it, taking sales calls. So the first thing what we want to avoid doing as an entrepreneur is delegating or hiring out sales way too early on. So in the very beginning, I actually recommend you take sales calls until you're blue in the face. That's literally what I tell my clients. Until you're taking 8 to 10 sales calls every day, where you're pretty much waking up in the morning and doing back-to-back 30 to an hour-long sales calls until 8 o'clock at night, at which point you start doing client fulfillment, and then finally you somehow stumble into your bed at midnight only to wake up in the morning and do it all over again. You want to wait until that point in order to hire your first few sales reps, because any time before that, it's just simply not going to work. Because number one, you're likely not going to have enough booked appointments in order to attract the highest quality reps. And number two, you're not going to have any baseline KPIs, what's also known as key performance indicators, to know if the new sales reps you're hiring on board are any good. For example, you hire a new sales rep and they're closing at 15%. You may think that all the gurus out there are telling you you need to be closing at 30%. So this sales rep is absolute garbage because they're closing at 15%. But if you have no idea how many sales have been closed the past 20, 30 sales at what percentage, then how do you know if 50% is good as bad? Maybe 50% is absolutely incredible because you don't have a great sales process. And that's not the salesperson's fault. That's your fault. And that's your sales process's fault. So the first thing we always want to do is, as an entrepreneur, we want to take as many sales calls as humanly possible. But let's say that we've made it to that point. We're taking as many sales calls as humanly possible, but you're literally about to die. You're like, Ravi, I need to tap out here. The next step that we want to do is not hire one salesperson. This is the next mistake that I see people do all the time. They hire just one additional salesperson. In reality, what I have seen work really, really well is you hire 2 salespeople at the same time. Now, I'm not done here. Hire 2 salespeople at the same time, because what you want to do is test them against each other. Because if we go back to key performance indicators, right now you know that you close at 15% or that you close at 20%. So you're expecting your sales reps to close at 20% as well. But you're missing one key ingredient, which is your ability to train or ramp the sales reps to your level that you're at right now. And I have noticed that most entrepreneurs, or at least a lot of them, are absolutely terrible at ramping sales reps or ramping employees in general. So if you only hired one and they were really good, you might think that you're really great at ramping sales reps, but maybe they're just a good sales rep. And if you hired one and they were really bad at sales, you'd think that maybe that sales rep is just really bad at sales, but maybe you're just bad at training your sales rep and getting them up to KPI. So there are too many variables in this instance here. And so it's not fair to just hire one sales rep and put the future of your company on there. And I've seen way too many companies fail that way. So we want to hire 2 sales reps at the same time. But another little secret that people don't talk about is is that we're not going to immediately switch all of the calls from us to them. Actually, what we're going to do is put 25% of the calls to each rep, which means that I, or you, the entrepreneur, is still taking 50% of the calls. This is your next mistake that I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing. As soon as they hire the 2 sales reps or the 1 sales rep, they give the sales reps all of the calls immediately because they're so tired of taking sales calls. Well, what happens if these sales guys bomb or sales gals bomb? Well, all of a sudden, the money that you were making inside your company, the ones that are paying all your bills and that are helping you grow, it runs dry, because the other possibility is that both sales reps bomb. And so if both sales reps bomb and you've given them 100% of your calls, guess what? You're not making any money that month. And I have literally seen a 7-figure business crumble in front of my eyes because the entrepreneur gave all of their calls to 1 sales rep and they just let them quote unquote ramp up for 90 days. But at the end of the 90 days, the sales rep had closed 2 deals and the company literally went under after that. And so instead, what should have happened is you should take and keep a control that 50% to you're still taking calls, but then you should give 25% to the other 2 sales reps each to see how they perform underneath pressure. All right, so at the end of the ramping period, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's 4 weeks, maybe it's 90 days, typically one of 3 things will happen. Either A, both of the sales reps will suck and you'll need to cut them. You go back to taking 100% of your calls until you can find additional sales reps. And that usually means that either A, both the sales reps were really bad, which is not likely, or you're just not good at ramping sales reps, so you need to get better at that process. The second possibility, B, is that 1 sales rep was really good and 1 sales rep was really bad. And then the third possibility is that both of the sales reps were really good. So if that's the case, then you're in a great position. You give them each 50% and you move forward. But let's talk about the second possibility here, which was 1 sales rep was good, 1 sales rep was bad. Then what I'll actually do is I'll cut or fire the bad sales rep, and then I'll move this good sales rep to typically either 50% or 100%, right? So I'm just going to give you the example. I might move this sales rep to 100%, and I'm now at 0% sales calls. So I'm not taking any sales calls, but I know that this rep after a 60, 90 day window is proven. And that gives me back literally 6 to 8 hours every single day that I can use to focus on generating more appointments for our sales rep. So now we have 1 really solid sales rep. Then I would come back in here and I would try the process once again. Let's say that I'm at the point where I need to take more appointments for our company, but I don't necessarily want to be on the sales calls myself. Then I would actually come in here and I would hire a second sales rep that once again, I would train again. Because realistically speaking, I know you'd like to have it so that your first sales rep trained your second sales rep. But if you look back at any of the great companies when they hire and scale employees, the original founders and CEOs typically train and hire the first few hundred, if not 1,000 employees, because you want to make sure that all of the people that are coming into your company share your same mission, values, and culture. And if you have first sales rep train the second sales rep, then the mistake that you could be having is you just hired this one person like 90 days ago. What if they don't share all the same culture, values, and norms that you have? Then they could be passing that on to the second person. That person passes it on to the next person. So I personally like to train the second sales rep myself. I'll come back down here and I will give 70% of the calls to the original sales rep and I'll give 30% of the calls to the second sales rep. Once again, I'm pretty much testing, okay, is this sales rep up to KPI? Can they be good? Can they be as good as the first sales rep or at least as good as I am? Let's say that they are at that good. So now we have 2 really solid sales reps. Then I'd probably pretty quickly move them both to 50% of the calls each every single day. And that means that we are back to having, if you have 2 sales reps taking 8 calls a day, you are taking 16 calls every single day. And let's just assume that you have a 20% close rate. That could be almost 4 deals that you guys are closing every single day without you having to get on 1 sales call. So at this point, you're cooking. If you're booking 16 calls a day, that's incredible. You're doing a really great job, but you may need to scale even further past that. A lot of the times when we're setting up systems for our clients and we're helping them build paid ads and sales funnels, they're getting 30, 40, 50 calls every single day. That's not uncommon. So what we need to do now is hire a third sales rep. But at this point, you should have a pretty solid sales process and you should be working with those 1 and 2 reps pretty closely, that I would feel really comfortable hiring a third rep and then having whichever one of the 1 or 2 had both a mixture of the KPIs and the culture and value that I wanted inside my company actually train that third person. So now I am no longer training sales reps. I am having somebody else train them for me. And I would shift up the volume here to where it was maybe 33, 33, 33, or something along the lines where everyone got kind of a fair shake, because you do want to make sure you're giving the new person at least some appointments, or they're not going to be able to close any deals. I don't care who you are, right? So then you have 1 train 3 or 2 train 3. And if that situation ends up well, where 3 actually ends up being at KPI and ramped really well, what I would do at that point was I would typically remove myself from the sales training and ramping process, and I would now move the salesperson number 1 to being the sales team leader of 2 and 3. I hope you're with me right now, because this is an incredible important adjustment for your company. And everyone thinks that the sales team leader, it needs to be like these things, they check all these boxes, it's years of experience. And the only thing that I really care about on a sales team leader is their ability to hit KPI. So they need to be able to close the deal and actually understand sales, and their ability to train and ramp salespeople. Those are the only 2 requirements that I have. And that doesn't mean that they need 10 years of experience to be a sales team leader to make that happen. It just means that they need to be able to do those 2 things, right? Before I was in business, I didn't have any sales experience and I didn't have a good job ramping salespeople, but I was able to do both of those things. So I was technically the sales team leader of my company. And then at that point, the sales team leader can hire a 4th sales rep and a 5th sales rep. And then they can eventually fire sales reps that aren't on performance. Let's say 2 stops dropping on performance, then they can let the sales rep go. And that entire time, you're not being involved in the process whatsoever. And you'll get it to some point here if I erase that relationship between me and number 1, where it is a 2-way relationship, like the way that I have with my sales team leader right now, where I am asking them questions and they're giving me feedback on the sales team, or I'm trying to create more marketing material and they're letting me know what we're seeing in the industry, what we're seeing on the calls, and how I can create maybe some videos to help handle those objections. And thus I now switch from trying to train and ramp and monitor 2, 3, 4, 5 people to only speaking to 1 person, and their full-time job is focused on ramping those 2, 3, 4, 5 people. And I get to focus on all these things over here, like other employees or profit centers inside of our company or other marketing objectives. Now, this video may have been a little advanced for some of you, but it's important that you watch it and potentially re-watch it again, because your ability to effectively scale a sales team can literally mean the difference in you taking a business to multiple 7 and multiple 8 figures, or you being stuck in the low 6-figure range mark. And even if you're in that low 6-figure range mark, you're working 8 to 10 hours a day, which is not what anybody wants to do. If you'd like to be in the position that you have so many booked calls that you literally can't take any more sales calls yourself, I'd like to invite you to click the first link in the description down below, where you can click and learn a little bit more about our company scaling with systems and how we will guarantee to fill your pipeline in the next 30 days or your money back. Be sure to smash the like button if you guys got value out of this video. Drop down any questions or comments you have on sales teams, and hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.